Boardvengers, assemble.
What up?
It worked.
Hey.
I can't believe that worked. We're all here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for spending your evening with me. This is another Boardvengers special, another crossover mashup thing that we're doing. I want to say thank you for that incredible the trailer that you guys helped me put together. That was fantastic.
It's a lot of fun to film.
It was good fun.
I liked watching everybody else's.
Yeah.
Seeing it together was super funny.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I especially liked my part.
No.
Let's all reminisce about
How much fun we had.
We have another Boardvengers special for everyone this evening. Let's get right into the introductions. I'm going to go from my top left all the way over down just on my screen. So my top left, Ben and Em, introduce yourselves.
I'm Ben.
I'm Em.
And we film our date nights for Instagram stories. And as a part of lockdown, we started recording a podcast, and we're still doing it somehow.
Not quite sure how.
Check us out.
We are.
Date Night Dice on Instagram or your podcast listening places.
I didn't think you were going to say the name of the podcast. I was waiting for it. Yeah, suspense. Like, is he going to say it? Is he going to say it?
I'd be fine not saying it too. So.
And to my right on my screen, I have Dave. Please.
Yes. Hi. Good to see everyone. My name's Dave. I am on Instagram under the moniker Game Foundry. It's also the name of my Etsy shop. And on Instagram, I talk about the things that I do with 3D printing and board games and just the intersection of the two things.
Awesome. And you have a sweet Etsy shop.
Thank you.
Yes, sweet Etsy shop. All right. To my middle left, Nelson.
Hey, I'm Nelson. I am a co-host of the Fantasy and Some Flights podcast. We talk about beer, bourbon, books, and board games.
And
we also haven't.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I am drinking. I'm drinking 8 and Sand, which is I've literally bought because it has a train on it. Because we've been playing a lot of games with trains recently.
Nice.
So,
how many cheers?
This is a 3 cheers. It's 3 cheers. Yeah.
Excellent. Professor Meg in the middle.
Hello, I'm Professor Meg. I play a lot of board games and I post about them on Instagram mostly. I talk about them on YouTube sometimes. I just really enjoy them, usually more often co-op, more often heavy, but I just play a lot of games.
Awesome. And have sweet hair on top of playing a lot of games. We have the Meeple Among People, Ryan himself.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Hi, I'm Ryan, the Meeple Among People. That's my name on Instagram. I just post about board games and my love for it. And people seem to like it, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Excellent. And you do a great job. And he's a guest this evening as Jason is not able to join us. My heart and prayers and all those things go out to you, Jason, with your loss of power in Pennsylvania. Live out in Massachusetts. It won't happen to you up here. McKay with the Boston Red Sox shirt representing Massachusetts. Please.
I'm not in Massachusetts. I'm in Utah, but I was out there and I'll still continue repping Red Sox and Patriots. Yeah, I'm the board game critic, mostly on Instagram. I run board game brackets is kind of what it's turned into, but more than anything, I just post about board games. I like playing. I like being part of the community. So that's where you can find me is at the Board Critic.
Excellent. And we have a bracket going on right now. Vote Go Fish if you want to see this. Hopefully it'll win. And and I believe some other of you have been in some brackets with bad board game covers. I believe Nelson, you were in one. Ben and Em, were you guys in a bracket with them?
No? I don't think so.
No.
Excellent. A phantom bracket. So thank you all for assembling this evening. My first question to y'all is, what have you guys been playing? Nelson, what are you playing? You're on vacation. What are you playing right now? You said a lot of trains.
Yes. So downstairs they are playing Tickets Ride. So I guess that is a train game. We just finished a game that I'm going to hold off because it is actually my game of the night.
Okay.
So we did just get to play that. But then we got some Quacks of Quedlinburg. So that's always a fun one to get to the table. So that's kind of what we've been playing.
How often do you push your luck?
Way too often. I never win.
Way
that
too,
game.
okay.
Every time, baby.
Yeah,
Go.
every time. Every time.
To the moon or bust. Let's go.
some diamond hands.
Diamond hands,
Let's do this. I found the best strategy for that game is for me, I go as far as I can for money and I get the most expensive chip and then bam, that's it. And then once mandrakes come out the yellows, I own everyone. It's
I think,
awesome.
did you win last
Oh, he
time when we
crushed
played,
us.
right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
just like destroyed
I was
us.
going to
when
say, we played with you last and you destroyed us. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
And it's all in those mandrakes, baby. It's the mandrakes. You gotta get all the mandrakes.
You maxed out the pot 2 rounds in a row. Like you
Yeah.
got to
Jeez.
the end.
yeah.
What?
That's crazy.
It's the 4 mandrakes because the 4. I think the one we had is when you take it
I think
out,
he
you're
was
able
cheating.
to stack it or move
Oh,
1
okay,
and then
yeah.
2, then 3. It was that one. So with paper
Oh,
4,
was that book 3?
No, book 2. Come on.
maybe 7.
No,
we
your
played.
books.
We played last night. And it was the one that had it was whatever mandrake plus 3, and that was
Yeah.
infinite. So it was like 4 fuss. So I was
Yeah.
moving 7 each time. It was incredible.
That is good.
That's crazy.
All right, how about Dave? What have you been playing?
Yeah, so the thing I've probably been playing the most lately is Obsession. I got a copy of that a few weeks ago and been trying it out. That's kind of a fun one, really thematic, kind of worker placement, tile placement, kind of limited number of rounds, but really captures that whole kind of, Jane Austen theme. Not anything I'm typically into, but it kind of works as a board game.
Would you recommend this game? I was just looking at it and I was like, I don't know if I should buy that.
Yeah, if you really like the integration of theme and mechanic, and you kind of like that kind of tight selection, because your workers get retired at the end of each round and they have to rest and then come back through. So there's this real economy of how you plan things out, it's pretty fun.
Cool. How about Ryan? What have you been playing?
I've been playing Calico a lot recently, just because it's been on the shelf for a while, and I wanted to bust it down and learn it finally. And I was surprised how quick I was able to learn it with how much strategy is in that game, but a handful of luck too. So,
Yeah.
Me and girlfriend have really been enjoying it. And I've been playing a lot of Quest Quinleborg as well.
Nice.
Do you have a cat?
We have 2 cats.
Do they fit in the box? Do they sit in the box? Because isn't that I haven't played this game, but I think like in the inside of the box it says
They can fit in.
cat
Oh,
here.
that's the Isle of Cats.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, my cats can fit in that. No, Calico is much.
Oh, it's
smaller.
tiny.
You have giant cats?
Shebang.
Maybe that's
Shabomesies. Excellent.
They're all
Cats
so
aren't
close to
allowed.
me. My cat's right over there.
Oh man, we need to see the cat in the box by the end. So
Yeah.
Yes, at some point.
She's too big for that.
oh,
How about McKay? What have you been playing?
Gaming is weird right now. So we just finished Clink Legacy with like our friends that come over that are part of our, quarantine group.
Yeah.
Now that that's gone, it's
I
just
like
like
that one.
there's like a dearth, but they're actually coming over tonight after this. And I don't know, we've been playing Clank Legacy like every time we get together for close to like 7 months. So we're actually in uncharted territory. We're like, what do we do now? But as far as me, I because it's hard to get together with people. My wife's pregnant, so she wants to go to bed early. I honestly play Mystic Veil on my phone probably like 4 or 5 times a day at least, because the app is amazing. That and Star Realm.
Nice.
Cool. Professor Meg.
Lately we just played Cthulhu Death May Die. That was very, very fun. But we also played Paladins, which was really fun. I loved Paladins. We literally just today tried Wingspan, and comparing the two in my mind, I know a lot of people love Wingspan, and I really loved Paladins so much that Wingspan was really, really great, but I feel like I prefer Paladins. And then the only
Today
other
was the
one we
first
played
time you
recently.
played Wingspan?
What?
Today's the first time you played Wingspan?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's been
Sorry, I
a
didn't
point
mean
of
to
contention. I have a thing about the eggs where I don't own it. I played a friend's copy,
Here
so I
they
finally
taste
got
terrible.
to someone with it. And then we played Marvel Villainous, which felt imbalanced. I won, so I feel like even me saying that, having won, it felt very imbalanced and not fair. But I think it may have been which. So I was Hela, and he played as Taskmaster, and I think him being Taskmaster just wasn't good. That I did
think
great.
that game may play better at more people.
Yeah.
We've played it at 3. Even someone was Thanos, and Thanos I feel like is the hardest character to win because you have to put those stones out to everybody else's realm, and then send people out to retrieve said stones. But then you can vanquish the heroes, or you can vanquish the whoever who have the stones attached to them, and that's it. It's just chilling in the realm until you go out and get them. So I think Thanos is probably the hardest. And I saw McKay give that a huge thumbs down.
Yeah, it fell super flat for me. And not only were the rules a little bit poorly written, I think, but yeah, and I do think it plays better with more people, which is funny because that's opposite of how I feel about Villainous, like the normal Disney Villainous.
Mhm.
I like that as a 2-player game. It's just really clear. You don't have to wait as long between your turns. The downtime in Villainous is a killer if you're playing with more than 3. And so, yeah.
And honestly, like, it was that thing where I kind of felt like a bully because I was doing really good, where it's like, I don't want to keep pushing this further and winning, but I guess.
Yeah. Sorry, Dan, but I'm going to kick your butt right now into the ground.
I don't think you've ever felt like that in a 2-player game, man, but
No,
I could be wrong.
By the just scraping to claw back up that mountain to
rush me. That's all you ever
You guys are next as to what you've been playing, but I did see in one of your stories where Ben picked up 50 points in Agricola in one turn.
Ooh, what?
Was that Agricola?
No, it was in the new game.
Oh, no, we've been playing the new Uwe Rosenberg big box game. I'm going to butcher this German word, Hallertau.
Almost identical to how
it is not like what I would like. I feel like there was a break. He's been doing a lot of light games, and then he did this new big box game. It's not like those where you're building something over the course of the game. You're not building a farm or, a harbor of buildings and actions. You're not like growing to someplace. It's like this. Every round is like this struggle to gain as much resources as possible, so that you can like push these buildings down a track, and they get more expensive as it goes further into the game. So you don't really like build a machine as much as like you're constantly just trying to execute better and better. Now you get more workers over the course of the game, so you can do more, but everything gets more expensive.
Yeah, it's a lot trickier.
It's really like a heavy thinker, but not heavy on what you would think about of the big box, like a Caverna or an Agricola or a Le Havre or something like that, or a Feast for Odin. It's not a big table hog of things that are growing.
You're not feeding your family for one, so you're not panicking.
No, you're just constantly trying to get the right resources in the right ratios in that round to move your buildings.
But
it's fun. It's just fun in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you recommend that?
One point.
Would I recommend it? Yeah.
I feel like if you like,
I think so.
Caverna and stuff, like it's somewhat similar. If you like those games, I would recommend it.
I have a feeling it plays 2 to 4, or it plays 1 to 4 actually, I think. But like the 2 to 4, I feel like it would play good at all those player counts. I don't see how player count would affect whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
I think the dummy player of the way it leaves workers behind is like super easy and makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Cool. I did see that. So Paladins and you guys just picked up Underwater Cities, which were 2 of the games that we talked about at our last Boardvengers meetup. I'm so stoked to hear what you guys have to say about Underwater Cities. And Meg, I'm so happy that you really enjoyed Paladins. So it's just 2 solid games. And if you haven't played either or, highly recommend both of them.
We just picked up Underwater Cities too.
Oh yeah?
Oh man.
I think we've gotten the most
literally
messages about people being like, "Oh my god!"
Everybody
and
says,
it.
these,
And I'm like,
these.
"Okay, I guess we have to play it."
Yeah.
You know what was funny? The other thing we played recently was Everdell, and Emily Emily showed me your resource containers
Oh,
that
yeah.
you make, and she was like, "Look at these! Look at how cool these are!" And I was like, "You know who makes those, right?" Like,
Yeah. I was like, are we doing it? And then
Just low-key found them on Etsy. There was a little bit of
that is. I think I typed in like board game, whatever, and popped up, and
appreciate it.
Man,
well, you guys influenced me because I did end up picking up Spirecrust. I haven't played it yet, but you guys had mentioned that that's the one to have for it. So I'm gonna.
I stand by that. I still think that's the one to have.
Yeah, I like that one better than
Ryan.
some of the others.
Have you played with the Spirecrust expansion? With Roberto? Yeah.
Oh, just didn't hear. No, I've not played with it yet, even though it's right there.
Yes. If I recall, your hot take is you don't need the tree.
You don't need that tree. It's it's pointless. It's beautiful, but it's pointless.
Do it for the
care who argues with me on it.
It's just there so the fourth player can't see anything when you're playing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well,
I know that is true.
What's the other expansion? The Belfair gets rid of the tree. I think that's the whole purpose of it. Yeah.
Yeah, Belfair just gets rid of it.
Yeah, but it adds another big board.
Yeah,
Which is hilarious. But it's way easier to
like the whole
read
table.
than the tree. I feel like.
I love that they included like a big stump though, like where the tree was.
Yeah, which is kind of like what the F happened.
Like, we're going into Avatar land real quick.
You took it down.
Yeah,
right.
It's hilarious.
Left, yeah.
You wanted to be bigger, so we had to chop this thing down.
Yeah, a little blame game going on for.
Oh man. So let's get into our main topic as to why we're here. We're going to be discussing our favorite light games. Now, normally, and I use the word normally loosely, but looking at everyone's stories for the most part, well, except McKay, he doesn't like the heavier games, and that's just a blatant assumption. We all play heavier games, like you said, Roberto. I believe you said it. I think it's at 3 point something, right? I'm pretty sure that's what that's about. On Mars, Nelson taught me On Mars. We did that over Zoom. Boy, is that a mind melter.
I've heard.
Professor Meg with Death May Die. Ryan, I've seen some heavier games. Dave's Anachrony, of all things. So I'm like, let's talk about light games that don't get too much table time because we're like, bam, table presence. Let's get our brains going and maybe melting a little bit. So I want to actually ask, because we're going to do a hot potato style. I'm going to start off with, this is difficult. Nelson.
You?
Nelson.
I'm not going to go first. I went first last time.
I want to just shove that in your face quick. And it's Roberto.
Well, now you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I will start. So my pick for light games is Between Two Cities. So I'm interested if any or how many of you guys have played this. So this is a game that's published by Stonemaier Games, designed by Ben Rosette and Matthew O'Malley. And it's a game where you are kind of working with your neighbor to build a city in the form of a 4x4 grid. And there are 6, it's kind of a set collection-esque game. And so you're drafting buildings to put into your cities. And when you draft the buildings, you make the decision if it's going to go to my city to my right or my city to my left. And each of these buildings score differently based on the position that they are in the city or how many you have. And so it's a very quick, very easy to pick up game, which is kind of why I picked it for the light game. Also, I love playing it now. I think this started at 9 p.m. my time. I just finished my last game of Between Two Cities at like 8:46 this time, and it took about 14 minutes. So, I mean, it's a really quick. We usually play it 2 or 3 times. Yeah, so we play it 2 or 3 times. We just knock it out, and it's just kind of one of those games that once you get rolling, it's really easy to introduce new players to, because if you're sitting next to a player who's played it before, they can kind of help coach them, and then kind of the next playthrough, they have all these like cool cards where you can say like, okay, you sit in the order of birthday, and then you can deal out a new card and you change the order that you're sitting in. So it's kind of fun doing that, but it's a really quick, really easy game that I still love playing today. So
did you say that was it's 2 players? It's 2 to
so it's 3 to 7, and the My
You
copy
just- yeah,
can
you need
go up
like
to 8, I think. But I don't really recommend it with less than 4. I think
Okay.
4 is kind of where you want to sit. But also one of the cool things about this, I'm sorry, I kind of forgot to mention this. Your score at the end of the game, because you're building with your neighbors, so you kind of have 2 scores. Your score is the lower of your 2 cities, so you can't really like just say,
Yeah.
"I'm going to just make this city really great."
Oh.
Yep.
Right.
That's
Um,
good.
and so you kind of have to balance. And so it's because when you flip up the 2 tiles that you've drafted that turn, it's kind of always this argument against like, oh no, I want that. I need that blue building over here. And like, no, but I think it should go over here. And so it's kind of like this push pull. So it really just kind of brings into that like, kind of social debate that kind of goes on. So it's
Is
kind of fun.
there any kind of hey, put this here and I'll give you this type of aspect in that game?
Not in
Like, help
game,
me and
no.
I'll help you. Okay.
Not in game, but definitely deals have been made outside of the game. Yeah.
Hey, Nelson, have you ever played Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig?
I have not. So actually, so
Actually, I had
hey,
it,
look at that. There you go.
locked and loaded. So I haven't played this personally.
I haven't either.
So is it the same? But
It's
with
actually
those-
very good. I can speak to it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
So it's actually very similar, but if you've played the Castles of Mad King Ludwig,
Yeah.
or Ludwig, or however you say it,
Yeah,
so it just brings in a couple of those elements. So instead of like a 4x4, you have just like an endless grid of like, you have your ground level, and then some things can be placed like up. So you're starting with like your foundation. You can build basement cards, or you can build on top of it. And
Okay.
then if you build like a garden or something that doesn't have a roof, it like taps out that column. So everybody ends up with like different heights and stuff. And then you place like, you'll place a tile that says like, you get an additional point for every bedroom that's in like this column or row kind of
that's
thing.
cool.
And so, and it's the same thing. You draft 2 and then you build with a person on either side of you. And then you decide like where in the castle it's going to go together. And then you score the lower point value. And so obviously very similar, but it pulls in like the, what is it? Like 5 or 6 rooms from the Castles of Mad King Ludwig. And it's actually really cool. I play with my kids too. As long as you place like an adult between each kid, then
Yeah.
it's really easy to just like go through and they pick whatever they want. And then you just kind of like make the best of it. But yeah, super versatile, really easy to teach. And I think it's along the same lines of Between Two Castles.
So I've tried a variant of this game, which I bet no one else has. I went when we were still having conventions. Somebody ran a session of what they called Between Two Galaxy Truckers, and it was Galaxy Trucker using the rule set of Between Two Cities, and so you were building 2, junk spaceships on each
That's
side
awesome.
of you with
That's
neighbors, and then they would fly through the route with all the planets and pirates and and you whatever kind of limped in at the end. And same idea. You only score based on the lower one, but it was beautiful chaos. It was fantastic.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Oh, that sounds fun.
All right. So who are you going to pass it to?
Oh, I get to pick.
You get the
Ooh.
pick. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. McKay, you're up.
All right. So disclaimer, this is not like my favorite lightweight game. I think when we originally said this, it was as light as you'll go and you still want to play it. So this is, I'm
fish?
actually very,
I was going to say, let's go fish.
Let's go
Sure.
fish.
but it is just cards. Coloretto. How many people have played Coloretto? No? Come on.
I've heard really good things.
It's actually a really great game. It's on Board Game Arena if you want to hop in and try a game. The rules are extremely simple. There's like 4 piles in the middle, and each pile can take 3 cards. And all the cards are different colors of chameleon. And so you flip over on your turn, you can make the choice to either take one of the piles or you can flip a card. And then you have to put that card into one of the piles. And so you can, at the end of the game, it kind of has like a exponential growth curve of like points. So if you have like a chameleon of one color, it's worth 1 point. If you have 2 chameleons of the same color, it's 3 points. And it goes all the way up to like, I think 5 gets you 21 points or something. So obviously you're paid off for the more of the same color you get. However, you can only score the top 3 and everything else goes negative. So it's a super interesting game of you draw a card trying to put a pile create a pile that is only good for you and for nobody else. And if there's a pile that's good for somebody else, trying to sabotage that pile so they don't get a really good pull and they're forced to go negative. For like the simple rule set, I can literally teach somebody in under 2 minutes, and the decisions are actually pretty dynamic. Whether you wait another round to take a pile that has 3, but that could also like introduce negative points, or whether you take a pile with only 2 cards in order to avoid that potential 3rd that will push you into the negative range. As far as just like a small deck of cards game, it is probably one of the most dynamic as far as decision makings that I've played.
That sounds fun. That just sounds like something we should pick up.
And it's like $10 too. It's so cheap because it's literally smaller than a deck of Uno.
Yeah, like a lot of times we post stuff, like the 2 of us, we play heavier stuff. But anytime we're playing with anybody else, it's light stuff. So to have a like quiver of light games, this sounds like a good one to put in there.
It's the perfect like intro game. It gets people thinking. It's kind of like the mind warmed up. It's a great appetizer of games, if you will.
What player count is it?
Does it go up to 5? It's either it definitely plays 4. I know that. I think it might go up to 5.
And can you play with 2?
Yes, and it's actually it's very interesting as a 2-player game as well.
Cool.
Awesome.
Actually, kind of just to stem off of that, would that be a filler game? Because we talk about intro games, and I don't really this is going to sound really awful. I don't understand the concept of filler game. Is that just something that's really easy to play in between games, something just on the table, off the table within 25 minutes, half hour?
Yeah, if you got knocked out of a big game, you could play that with someone just to fill the time. Yeah, usually 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
How long are the rounds?
It becomes a good filler game because you can teach it so quickly. It's just like, let me pull this off the shelf. I can teach you, and we're playing within 2 to 3 minutes. A round can go, depending on how indecisive people are, it can go around like 30 minutes, but it can also go faster.
Cool. And Nelson, with your pick, how long does it take to teach someone, would you say?
I would say it's 2 to 4 minutes. Usually what we'll do is we'll teach kind of what each building does, and then we will play through a game, and they're like, cool, okay, now you understand the game, and we'll play through it again. Because it's like almost easier and quicker to do it that way, to just kind of play. And then what I'll do is I'll have the furthest person away from the new player score their cities. And then by the time it gets around to the new person, I will have them score the cities. So physically, how many points you get for yellow, how many points you get for blue. By that time, they really understand the scoring mechanisms. And because it takes 10 to 15 minutes, you just set it up again and run it. So.
Excellent. Easy peasy, as they say.
If you are looking for a deeper experience along the Colorado route, they released Zularedo, which is a bigger box and has a little bit more complexity. But I do recommend, I think Colorado honestly fills the need a lot better.
Cool. Good. All right, it's your choice, man. Who do you want to pick on today? That's not Nelson, because he already went.
Let's see. Let's go Ben and M.
Oh, so they both have one. So it's one or the other, unless you want them both to go.
Yeah, we can
Let's just have them both go.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
You go first, and then you can explain my game as well.
Well, my big thing for a light game, and it's interesting when it was, what is the lightest game that you still enjoy, right? Like, I'm glad we didn't stick with that. I don't know how far down I would have gone. No, but
I'm kidding.
I like playing. I honestly like playing Go Fish with the kids.
That is
like
true.
they do. I like doing that. Like Calvin, he's little. He's.
Do you lie to the kids when you have something they want?
Never.
In your hands. Okay.
Never.
Are you a good dad, Roberto? No.
Is this being recorded?
But like I love games that teach fast, right? Like you guys were saying, games that teach fast that I'll pull out with my mom, right? Or like my aunt or whatever, like Emily's, like my in-laws or
that doesn't happen, but yeah.
No, but you know, like somebody's coming over and anybody can play this game, but I like games where I get to feel clever while I'm playing it, right? So that even though the rules are really simple, I feel like I'm trying to outsmart people, right? So I picked Century Spice Road. You can teach it in 5 minutes, but the cards selection that I'm doing, the hand that I'm building of the loop and the engine I'm trying to build, like I always feel like I'm being so smart. I'm going to build this perfect engine that's going to get me points. And what I always end up doing, I always lose at this game. Is I build a giant hand of this perfect machine that just is a circle of resources that never actually
makes sense.
Yeah, but the whole time, like I'm having so much fun being like, that card would be perfect. It fits right in between these two.
You just like continue to make them into each other, and just do circles.
So everybody else is like getting to play a hobby game, but you do one thing on your turn. It's like a Ticket to Ride, right? You pick up a card, or you play a card, or you take a goal.
You take your cards.
It's that simple. And there's a tier of resource values. That's it. I taught you guys the game, but I'm like sitting there trying to like outsmart them, and they're just winning because they're actually playing. Yeah. And that I love that. I just love that about simple games is that everybody's getting to have fun, and like they have just as much a chance to win as I do because I shoot myself in the foot.
That's true.
So Century Spice Road. Now the other games in that series I like, but I don't think they fall in this category of like I can just throw it out and teach it in 5 minutes. No. They're all the other two are a little more complicated.
Yeah.
And
do you mix them ever?
We've mixed.
I think we did like one time, once
like
or
a
twice.
Couple we've mixed, and I thought the mixes were fun.
Yeah, but I like the original better. Always.
Okay. I never like do it because we have other games that are already mixed in the box, and I don't have to like try to remember how to mix them together.
That too.
And so it's only Spice Road ever comes off the shelf. Once in a while, we'll play the in-between one. Not New World, not Spice Road, the Island one. I like that
Eastern
one too.
Wonders?
Yes, Eastern Wonders. I like playing that one at 2 players. I think it's fun. But I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whip it out.
I always like
for
the
new
original
players.
better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a whole new set of rules once you start getting these other, like, because there's 4 of them, 5 of them?
Yeah, so like if you buy New World, is that what it's called? It comes essentially becomes with, because those games, they always have a rule sheet. It's double-sided, and it comes with one for all the combos. Just that game, the 2 combined or 3 combined or whatever, and they're all different games. They work with relatively the same mechanics, but the complexity kind of grows. And yeah, the bigger games are fun, but that's not really why I ever pull them off the shelf.
See, I just want to get the Gollum ones because I love the art in the Gollum editions. I don't know if they're like the same games reskinned, but I'm just like, man, I just want the Gollum editions.
I think
plus the crystals are much easier to grab than the cubes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are those deluxe editions of the game? They just under the name Gollum, or they're just okay?
Just like a different theming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of cubes, it's like crystals. Gems or
like
something,
crystals
isn't it?
Or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The art's so pretty on them. Oh.
Yeah.
That's true. They do look better.
Like how you put them all like vertically, and they just have the landscape all across the however many boxes there are. I think that's awesome. Like continuity on those boxes is fantastic.
Oh, that's true. I think that's right behind us over there, way in the background.
You can't really see
Way
it.
off in the distance.
Like behind me. It's an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Right. You can spot it way back there.
Well, you can still explain my game if you'd like, because I'm always like, it's fun. My game, I picked was Spring Meadow. You can explain the main part of the game.
Oh, actually, this falls. I think this hits for me. The same bullet points.
Once again, I feel like, okay, so we live by no family. So family comes, it's usually Ben's family is the closest. So if they ever come to visit and we're playing with like Ben's mom or something, she doesn't want to have to learn a game. By the time you learn it and then you have to leave, that's not fun at all. So this is the game that you can get out, teach within 2 minutes. You can still chit chat because we haven't seen each other in probably 6 months or something. You can chit chat, talk, you can still play, and it's still a little bit of a challenge. So that's why I picked this one. But you can.
It's funny you picked another game that was a part of a trilogy of tile laying
Which
games.
all of them are good, but I find this one the most like simple and easy to teach.
Yeah.
If you look at the trilogy as a whole, right? Like, why does this one get picked out? Indian Summer is a race, so it's much more aggressive, right? It's a race to fill your board. Cottage Garden, it has some complexity in that you're trying to turn over boards as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And what this one is just like, you're just trying to fill from the bottom up. It's very relaxing. Just fill from the bottom up. And you pick from the row that the thing is on, and it's going to move around. And it hits on the same thing that I was saying before is, for the gamer, you can see which row you're going to get.
Yeah, you can
So
strategize.
If I'm about to hit a corner, I can say, I want this tile and this tile, but I'm going to get this one soon. So I'll take that one because I'm going to get that one again right here. And then, of course, the next player picks that one. You get screwed anyway.
But if you don't, but if you totally don't pay attention and just when it's your turn, someone goes, hey, it's your turn, and you just grab one of those tiles, you can still play and win. And
what do you have, 4 or 5 to choose from, right?
So
4 for my mom or for whatever. Oh, it's your turn. Okay, well, let me look. Oh, this one will work, and I'll take it. And for me, I'm like, okay, and I'll have this row, and then I'll have this row, and then I'll have this row. So if I take this, and this.
But I don't think I have ever won at this game. I think Ben has, probably because he's strategizing clearly. I don't think
you get Century Spice. He gets this one.
That is true. Probably. Yeah, I probably
true.
always
that's with building an engine in this game. So
there's like the stress level of this is just 0. It's just hey, you want to chit chat and we'll play this game where we try to like fill in this little puzzle.
Just want to get the family gossip going on.
So, I agree. I like this one too.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And I assume because you are date night dice, they work well too.
They do. But once again, I feel like it would have to be a very casual, like you're just chit chatting while you play.
Okay,
again.
That's nice.
I mean, you could strategize a little more, but it wouldn't be like
you
much.
can play both of them at 2. I don't know that I never take these out for 2 though.
Well, I feel like we've taken out the other, like Indian Summer and Cottage Garden for 2, but not as much Spring Meadow.
I think we want some more aggression
yeah.
when we're
a little bit
fighting
more
each
strategy.
Other. Same thing with the Century series. We'll do the more complicated ones with each other.
Yeah.
But they do work at 2.
They do work.
And they're all kind of descendants of Patchwork in a way, which is inherently a 2-player game.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Now, if we were going to pick one together as a team here.
Out of those 2?
No. Our favorite light game we play more than anything else is Skull King.
Oh, I didn't know what you were going to say.
Grandpa's Bet games. Like,
it's like
the game night is over. We got a little bit of time. It's like we're gonna play Skull King. I don't care who you are. We're gonna make you play, and it's gonna be fun. And we're gonna do we have to do the auction way too fast, so you never know what to bid. That's the best part.
That one is like a good. I mean, in Michigan at least, I'd say like a cabin game because we always get a cabin every year and whatnot. Or I'm from Minnesota, so Minnesota game. It's a good Minnesota cabin game. But that's definitely one that you would whip out at night and be like, who has 15 minutes? And then you play that one. So I love that one.
Nice.
Working is good.
All right,
I know who I'm going to pick.
Next.
Roberto.
Oh, snap. I actually, I'm going to break my rules here. I have 2 because I couldn't decide between these 2. And it's, hey, you just had 3. Come on. These games, they're not even on my shelves anymore. I have them in my closet, but I'll never get rid of them because they just hold a dear place in my heart. The first one I have, the second one is still in my closet because once you hear the name, you'll understand it. Lost Cities. Board game.
Yeah.
I love this. This was probably one of my first games that Kate and I actually started playing together, and we would hit the table all the time. you have your board with 5 different sections, all different colors, and you have your grande meeple and I believe 4 other meeples. And you're drafting different colored cards to be able to go up on said tracks. And the higher you go up on the tracks, the more points you accrue. But there's also you have the hand management thing too, because you have to have lower cards and you go in ascending order to be able to move up on said tracks. So there's a little bit of strategy there as well. It's just something that we absolutely love. I've never played the card game. Obviously there's a deck of cards in here, but have you guys played the card game Lost Cities?
It's exactly the same.
Okay.
Like, literally, if you want a travel version, it's literally the exact same game. They've just removed the board. You actually still like move your guys up. It's clever how they reduced it to a card game, but I would say I don't think anything's lost in the transition to the card game.
Okay.
Somebody prove me wrong, but I remember playing and I was like, this is literally the exact same game.
Yeah. Have you guys played this game at all?
I'm not.
No.
You can. It's a good game for 2. You can play it at 2 players. It's a great family game. My son has played it as well when he was a bit younger, and he just grasped. He was able to grasp the concept of it super easy. It's like color, match the color, and then the number goes from 1 to I believe it's 12, and just move your dude on the track wherever you are. The first 4 meeples. Is it 4 meeples? I should brush up on these rules.
Yeah, 4.
It's 4.
4 and a big one.
So because your meeple is on a bridge, and at some point it goes from like a stone bridge to a wooden bridge, and the first 4 to get over the wooden bridge, that's when endgame triggers, and that's where you get into your point structure. So if you're on the bridge, if one of your meeples is on the bridge in the earlier areas, it's negative points. It goes like negative 25, negative 15, negative 10, 5. And then if you get to the bridge, you get bonuses as well as huge points.
It's actually kind of a brutal game as far as like the race to get over the bridges. And your big meeple counts double, and that can include negative. It's a really, I really actually like it. There's little things that you can pick up along the way, which are little like scrolls. If you pick up the scroll, you can move any of your meeples like 1 further. So you'll usually pick your grand meeple because he'll double his score. But yeah, there's like on occasion, it's just like, no, I'm going to play this out of turn when I normally would, just so I can get that scroll before you do.
Should that been in the take that bracket?
It should have been, probably.
Would it be
Probably
Go
wouldn't
Fish?
be Go Fish though. No way, it's not going to be Go Fish.
Oh, man.
Go Fish
We
is
need to
going
have
to
a
go up
moratorium
against.
on Go Fish talk. Get rid of the Go Fish talk.
So the other one that we got, and it's really cool because it's almost a senses game. It's called Into the Shadows, and you play it in the dark. The player token is a lantern. It's like an LED lantern, and the player that's moving the lantern has a glow in the dark die, and so it's 1 versus everyone. So you have your board and you have pathways, and in between the pathways are trees, kind of like photosynthesis style, and the trees are in quadrants. And the players that are playing against the person with the lantern have these little creatures. I forget what they're called, but these little creatures with masks on. They kind of remind. Have you ever played Ori and the Blind Forest?
Yeah.
Yeah. So remember in the very beginning, the guy that really just raised Ori. He was like this black panda almost, or just black creature with a white mask. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
So the players place them within the quadrants of the trees, and as you move the lantern creates shadows, and it gives you line of sight all the way around wherever the lantern is. So the trees will cut off line of sight for said meeples, and the player that is looking for them has to look around to see if they're able to see it. So it's like a giant game of hide and seek. But it's tricky because once you start moving the lantern around, those people can't cross the line of sight of the light itself. So if they're stuck in an area, then they have to move. I believe you have to move every single turn. If they're stuck in an area, they're going to get caught. And when you get caught, you take the mask off of the little plastic person, and the player who's looking for them gets it. And I think it's once you see all of them, the player who is looking for them wins the game. But again, it's like you play in the dark, in the complete dark. It's super, super fun. And as the person who is the lantern, they kind of have to walk away because there's some whispering around if it's 2 or 3 players, because they're trying to figure out where to put people all on the board. It's just a really cool experience to have a board game played in the dark.
That's really cool.
So that was my other one. But speaking of sensory games real quick, have you guys seen Alice is Missing?
I've seen it. I don't really know anything about it.
Yeah.
It's all text-based.
But also, Roberto, to go back to your game, I forget even the name of it, but I've seen that online. I've seen pictures of people playing and moving the pieces and the things like blocking it in the shadows.
Yeah.
And it looks really, really cool. That I've been super interested in it. I was curious how well the glow in the dark components were. That I was like kind of skeptical.
Yeah.
It's the die itself. I was a kid with the glow in the dark stars right on my ceiling. Yeah. They're just like that. Like the dice hasn't lost its glow, but I think it's one of those pieces that's easily replaceable if the die does end up losing its glow. And the lantern, it's an LED lantern, and that just has whatever the little small batteries are.
Like
so those are replaceable as well. Yeah.
I've looked into it a couple times and it looks very cool.
It is super cool.
I haven't played it, but I would love to.
Is it wrong of me to introduce a contradictory opinion to that game?
Do it now. Do it up. That's why we do this.
Let's do it.
The Critic, right? I actually played that game while I was working at Hasbro, which maybe that's one of the reasons I disliked it, is because I was
it was a job.
I know. I was like sitting there at my desk analyzing it. Then we played it. It was like I was looking at it through a super critical lens. So just that in and of itself may be why you can discount my comments. I'm actually very glad to hear that somebody really likes the game, because I played it and I was like, not super interesting. There is one really interesting part. The little creatures can come back alive after they've been seen by the lantern and they take their mask off. Can't remember what triggers it, but you can actually like bring them back to life and take the mask back and start moving them again. Which it was cool the way it did it. I agreed, like the whole hide and seek and like the whole trying to usher them to a corner where they can't get out kind of a thing was really like a fascinating part about that game. But I felt like we were just running around in circles. After a while, I was just like, oh man, I am so sick of chasing these little things. And I don't know. It was just
like Shredder with the turtles, these turtles.
Is this like a game you could play with kids or slightly older kids? Yeah. Okay.
And that's how I kind of felt about it. I was like, I would play this with kids. And as far as like a game that's played in the dark as like a sensory experience, very cool. And when we started, I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And it totally brought you, and I think it's called Shadows in the Forest.
I was completely wrong with the name too. Look at that. Shadows in the Forest.
You said Into the Forest, did you?
It's very unique and kind of one of those like novelty things that I think I would pull out, like if the timing were right and if it's like, let's turn off the lights and do this. But it didn't hold a ton of interest for me personally. But I'm glad to know that there are people that really enjoy it.
So this is the board, and the lantern moves, and actually these are directional. Mm-hmm. And so you put the forest pieces in these areas, and here is a little shout out to Kate for getting this game for me out of the closet. Here's the lantern. Let's see if it's still.
Oh man,
that's how much he likes it. He keeps it in the closet.
And it's got some good
one
glow
of my
to
favorites. She dug it out from the attic quick.
So it's not like I said, it's not on the shelf, but it's a game that I'll never get rid of because I love the memories that I have with this game. And back to McKay and saying, hey, if I'm in the mood for this game, I'll play this game. So these are the dudes. And
they are cute.
They're very
it does look just like the Ori guy.
Okay.
So there's several shapes. Here's one. Here's another one.
Oh yeah.
So they're really nice.
Cool. The design of the game is adorable.
Those are my two, and thank you for allowing me. Thank you, Self, for allowing me to have two games to share.
Yeah,
with you.
weird.
That was the only reason I criticized the second one, because you broke the rules.
That's right.
There you go.
Well, it sounded like you had good things to say about Lost City, so
Yeah, it's true. That is a good game.
that's good. All right, let me pass it over to Dave.
All right. So my favorite lighter game, Santorini.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good
So
one.
yeah, and you know, I really like this game. I would never shove it off a table. I just want to be super clear on that. Right?
It's like,
That was the one game that I was like, I don't want to like wreck anything.
what could take the fall?
But also,
It does have very
I
durable
did-
parts. So
I did put a blanket down on the
Yeah.
floor, so it went onto the
Yeah.
blanket because I was a little nervous still.
this is the game my daughter and I play all the time. I looked at my stats. I have almost 70 plays with her on this game.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's a super simple game from the standpoint of very few rules, right? You have this 5x5 grid. You each have two workers. All you do for the whole game, basically, you move to an adjacent square and you build a block. That's basically the rules of the game. You know, when the blocks that you build, they make these little towers, right? They go up to 4 high. The end game win condition, at least for most of the time, is you want to get your little worker at the top of it, right? But your opponent is going to try to get little domes on top, so you can't get on there before you can jump on there. And one, you know, as this board builds up with these, you know, tactile, 3-dimensional, just gorgeous little pieces, it starts to take on the look of this city, and it just emulates that whole island kind of ancient Greek feel. You know, it's very dynamic. And the really kind of the thing that gives it so much replayability is you have all of these different god cards, and each of you gets one of these at the beginning of the game, and it allows you to break that movement or placement rule to some degree. Maybe you can move extra spaces, maybe you can build extra blocks, you can build blocks you shouldn't be able to. So my daughter's favorite is Ares, which it lets you build these domes even though it's not the top of a tower. So she just sits around placing domes trying to block my guys in. I'll just have little miniatures stuck in the corner that can't move anymore. And she just cackles like with glee. Yeah, and we've just enjoyed the heck out of this one, and it's every combination of gods leads to a little different strategy, a little different game, yeah, we played a lot.
Do you have the Golden Fleece expansion?
We do, yeah. So that adds a whole bunch of different you know, card elements and other god powers and a little more complexity as well.
Ton of replayability.
Yeah. We have tried the newer one. So at Christmas, we got the Santorini, New York, which is, you know, it's a little weird because it's like Santorini or New York. They just call it New York.
It should just be called New York, exactly.
Yeah. But, you know, we found that it's a different game, right? It's got some of the same elements, but it didn't quite gel the same way. You know, you have a few different mechanics. You got like a simultaneous action selection. So you have a few different cards that you draw each time, and you play it's like up to 4 different roles that you can do. So instead of having a single god power that you have for the whole game, you have this variable, like I'm going to play the engineer this turn, or I'm going to play the taxi cab driver this turn. And it gives you a little bit of a different, you know, movement options. And it's fun, but it just doesn't have the same elegance, I think, as the original. Still the same gorgeous Mr. Cuddington art and everything, you know, but yeah, we just really love the original game.
Yeah, this feels like one that I don't want to be more complex.
No,
You
I
know?
like it. Yeah.
It's good how it is because there's so much thought going into its simplicity. That's the, you know, it's the same kind of thing, right? You're constantly feeling like you're outsmarting your opponent. That's all I want in a simple game.
How old is your daughter?
Well, she's 18 now. She was 15 when we first started playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think about like our kids. I feel like our oldest would
She's
like
10.
that actually now.
Oh,
Yeah.
easily. Yeah.
She would like that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Someone, you know, 8 8 years and up, I would think, would probably be able to grasp it. The rules are not complicated, and you do change up the rules each game, but you have one.
It's simple though, yeah.
One rule breaking change to remember, and it's an abstract game. It's like chess. You're just trying to outsmart your opponent and catch them in that one move that they didn't see what you were setting up, and then you can kind of spring the trap. It's great.
That's the best.
What's the highest points would you say that you've had in that game?
So you don't score points in Santorini.
I completely forgot to play that game.
It's win or lose. Yeah.
Going with this.
Okay, it is win or lose.
100 points.
That's a trick question.
Yeah.
You pass.
So this is actually a great reminder, because I remember I played Santorini. I played it several times, and then it just kind of got not boring, but just like I didn't like how it felt to play, weirdly enough. We actually played in, like, to your point that you actually don't want it to be that much more complex. I would say we played it more without the god powers than we would with. I don't know if that's because we thought it was a little bit misbalanced on some of the powers, that sometimes it's just like, how do I really, like, if you have that card and I have this card, like, how am I ever really going to outmaneuver you?
And we definitely find that, right? That there are some things where it's like, oh, well, you got that one, like, you're gonna just wallop me. But the games are like 10 minutes max, right?
Yeah,
so you play it out, and they wallop you, and then you deal out new god powers, and you do it again.
Yeah, do it.
I think the true elegance of that game is the fact that you have to be next to the tower to actually build it taller. There have been several times where I totally shot myself in the foot not realizing it, where I capped off a building, or I built one in between where we were. And then I was like, oh no, to get around to stop them from doing what they're doing will take me about 5 turns.
Right.
And so it's just a matter of like us like racing to it. And because I had taken the last turn, I had totally just set them up to win, and I just couldn't get over there. So there are some really elegant decisions to be made in that game.
We sold that game recently. So.
Well, just the opposite, actually. We did a huge last year, beginning
I feel like it was
last
2
year?
years ago, but
maybe I sold like 40 games or something like that. It was the kind of thing where I'd run out of space and I'd run out of goodwill from my wife.
And we run out of money.
But Santorini, it's right over there. I was
That's
like,
a good
no,
cabin game too, right?
just-
you have like you're hanging out with the family, and you're like, I have a couple of people. Come
made the
on,
cut.
let's
It's one of those things where I would just be like, it's the afternoon and a kid wants to play a game. It's like, okay,
that
let's
is a
play
good
this.
one then. Yeah.
That's
It's short and sweet. It's not the like, well, let me set it up for 30 minutes, and by then
Or let me
they're
teach you how to play.
done.
It's like, no, let's just go play a game right now.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I actually traded it away as well because my wife didn't like it as much as I did. But if I recall right, it's mainly a 2-player game, but you can play 3 players.
You can play 3 and 4, I think.
You can play 4. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Isn't it?
teams?
This is crazy.
Isn't it
Before
like
you
cooperative?
each person gets one.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
3, there's 3 teams. That I feel like that would be crazy.
To have 3.
Yeah, and I will say that's something that the new game, Santorini New York, it integrates more players better. So if you like the game and you want to play it at higher player counts, that's probably a good option. Even though it's different, it still has that flavor.
Have you tried
It's
mixing them
skyscraper,
together? Like putting the 2 boards together and then building blue and like skyscrapers. Maybe put like a Catan water, the river expansion like right in between. So you got a
super game.
If they can do
This
between
is-
the galaxies, they can do like mashup Santorini, I'm sure.
This
There's a
is
challenge going around Instagram right now.
you have
God.
Star Wars Rebellion,
And what?
and then all your
War of
space
the
battles you play. Man, what's the big ship scale game?
Oh,
of Star-
Armada.
Armada,
Oh, okay.
but then all the fighter
Oh.
battles you got to play X-wing, and then all the
X-Wing.
ground
This is out of
battles
control.
you got to play Legion or Imperial
Legion.
Assault.
Yeah.
So Imperial Assault is when you do the missions.
This is too much.
hello,
Wow.
sir.
Hey, Jamie.
We can't have a Boardvengers
What is
episode without our
happening?
own Stan Lee,
Oh,
or
man.
Mr. Jamey Stegmaier. How are you?
Sorry to barge into the conversation here, but yeah,
No.
Roberto invited me to join you guys for a few minutes tonight, and I thought I'd chime in and say hi. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, hey,
God.
You missed our big discussion about the Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
I'll have to watch that later then. That's awesome.
Don't watch it.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
And then I pulled this out because that was his. And we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
We had nothing but good to say about it.
yeah, great game.
We're coming out with an expansion on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you have news. Go ahead. Expansion.
Well, yeah, for the Between Two Castles, we have an expansion coming out finally for that to add solo play to it, which wasn't offered out of the box. Yeah.
Cool.
Is that one of the dots that we get if in the emails?
That is, yeah, that's one of the. I think that's the next one on the list after Red Rising is that expansion.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we are talking about light games right now, Jamey. And you have Red Rising coming out. Is that going to be light-ish?
It's a medium weight Euro game, but it is a little bit on the shorter side. It's 45 to 60 minutes, but it was inspired by one of my favorite light games, which is Fantasy Realms. Have any of you played Fantasy Realms?
No.
No, oh, really? It's a fantastic game.
Everyone adjust your ties right now. We're gonna.
Oh, it's a fantastic combo building game. If any of you end up playing Red Rising and you like it, I highly recommend that if you're looking for a good filler in your collection. I love Fantasy Realms.
Good to know.
It's actually really funny. This is how like the whole evening has gone. Everyone says what their favorite light game is. And everyone's like, nope, haven't played it.
Yeah, right.
That's good though. Then we get what everyone else. Yeah, we have that list of what everyone else likes.
We talked about Santorini. We talked about Colorado. Ben and Em, what games did you have on your
Meadow.
list?
And Century Spice Road.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on those games, Jamey? Have you played those games?
I've played all of those. Yeah. I'm doing a video soon about. You mentioned Century Spice Road. I really like the I think BGG calls it like increased values or accumulating values. How you can value cards that are further down on the row by putting coins on top of the cards that you skip over. And I found more and more games that do that. Canvas recently. Canvas just came out. Canvas does that. Right. And I love that mechanism. I didn't realize it was in so many games.
Yeah. Magic the Realm does it really well, and Small World, right?
Yeah, Small World.
Yeah, Small World does that. Well, that's what gets Ben to pick all the really crappy cards. I just put a couple of tokens
That's
on,
all it
and
takes.
he just
right. She builds this giant hand of amazing cards, and I have a bunch of garbage because I wanted one grain or one of the what's the yellow, whatever the yellow is.
It's easy then. That's how you do it.
What's your favorite light game, Jamey?
I think it is. Well,
man, you're putting
it's probably
them on the
Fantasy
spot
Realms, but.
Okay.
Would you count Seven Wonders Duel as a light game? What do you think? Is that
That's fair because that game's great.
I just enjoy the game, whether it's light or not. I just love that game. Yeah,
it's one of my favorite games, but it's right on that cusp. I wouldn't call it a filler for sure, but it is a lighter game. It's pretty easy to get into.
Yeah. Is it easy to teach?
I think so. I mean, it's one of those games where you probably have to play it a full time to really get the strategy, but you can still have fun the first time you play.
And it's one of those where once you play it through, you know the scoring. And so you can easily play it again because it's a 30-minute game.
Yeah.
So
and getting used to the symbology, it just takes a couple of rounds, and then you're like, oh, okay, I see how this chains. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. It's a great adaptation of the full game. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Has
anyone played the new expansion to Duel?
Armada?
Agora?
Yeah, Agora.
Oh,
yeah.
Agora.
I haven't. I love Pantheon, but I haven't played Agora yet.
Yeah, Pantheon's fantastic. I just haven't played Agora.
I need to play Seven Wonders Duel. I haven't played that one. I got to get that one.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's fantastic.
Two-player. I mean,
yeah,
I
you
feel
and
like
Kate
that's
would
our
really like
ultimate.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and Kate would really like that.
It fits really well the theme of our light games, where you feel like the rules are light, but you're trying to outsmart the people you're playing. It's definitely falls into that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about Santorini. Meg took a sip out of her cup, so I just wanted to just Meg, can you just show us your cup, please?
Oh yeah.
Ben was
my favorite light game.
Ben was like, oh my god, and I saw it too.
See that Gloomhaven?
Ben was like,
Gloomhaven.
My favorite light game.
What the heck?
Yeah, I need to I should have had some sort of logo scenario.
Those date night
It
dice
was not
logo.
product placement.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, what the heck? That doesn't count as a light
Can I
game.
do an ad and just doesn't work? I'm not getting paid.
So, Dave, it's your turn to pick.
Okay, let's go with Ryan.
Well, with Jamey here, of course, I'm gonna pick viticulture.
Yeah, I was asleep right now, Ryan, because
But my pick was it's right next to me. I picked Giraffosaurus. So I literally bought the game without knowing anything about it because I was visiting my friend up in Rochester, and I saw they had a display these pretty little dino meeples, and it just sold me strictly on that. So, but I started playing it a little bit. It's a very simple game. It's drafting. You have a hand of dinosaurs. You're trying to put them in certain pens, depending on what you roll. You hand off your hand of dinosaurs to the person next to you, and you keep going back and forth, filling your pen. And you score differently on how you put them. You know, some dinosaurs likes to be together, some don't. You want to have one that's the only one in your park. And it's just very easy to play. It's a 15-minute game, 2 to 5 people. Teaches very easily. You really learn as you play, but it takes like a minute or two to explain what you're doing. And that's really my pick. Pretty simple.
Nice. How does it compare to Tiny Epic Dinos?
It's way different.
Is it night and day?
It sounds a little bit like Sushi Go. Does it compare to Sushi Go?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. Is it a little bit more
better.
Complex?
Yeah, I know.
I just want a little bit more than Sushi Go. So if it's a little bit more than Sushi Go, I might be all over that.
It's not complex at all. It's basically whatever type of dinos you have in your hand from the bag, that's what you can place. It's not that complex.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I saw they recently added this one to Board Game Arena, if I'm not mistaken. So I've been wanting to try it, and that's an easy way to try it out. Yeah.
That's
I kind of want to try this now.
Quick game.
Yeah.
So
we all get
it's like a bag of dinosaurs, and you just
bag of dino meeples. At the very beginning of the game, you take a handful. I forget how many you get per player, and you both simultaneously choose one without the other one seeing. Then you place it in the board. Oh, sorry. At the beginning of the turn, you roll a die, and depending on what you rolled, it restricts where the other people can put their dinosaur, but you can put yours anywhere you want. And then you switch hands of dinosaurs, and then they roll the dice, and so on and so forth until you're all dinosaurs.
I would so totally pick the biggest dinosaurs.
They're all the same. They're all the same shape. I mean, if you really want to feel in there, you can find the T-Rex.
Don't play this game with me.
arms.
Don't trust me.
Oh, but this sounds. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. It just sounds like the perfect. Because like I was talking about, we play Spice Road or whatever, but the thing we play the most with people is Sushi Go. Or sushi roll, or if there's kids over, we play Go Nuts for Donuts. Is that what that's called?
God,
yeah,
so
that's a cute game.
Like
that's such a good game for like a kids game.
Yeah.
But how many players would you say is like the best scenario?
I think it plays up to 5. I mean, it doesn't really change anything from like 3 to 5, but I play a lot with just my girlfriend, so I enjoy doing.
Well, that's what it's normally just 2 players. I mean, especially now, it's not like we're like hanging out with a ton of people, but yeah.
It's fun playing with 2 people because then you could try to remember exactly what was in your hand of dinosaurs and play off that. Be like, okay, so I had like 3 green, and I really want to have 3 of a kind in my 1 pen. But then when you get the back, you're like, oh, she used one of the greens. There goes my strategy on that. You have to switch it up.
Well, the nice thing about drafting games is they usually scale pretty well because it doesn't really increase the downtime because everyone can kind of pick stuff as they, at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's a lot like Sushi Go, except that there's certain places you have to put the dinosaurs.
Okay. I like that.
Jamey, quick question: Is Fantasy Realms is that 2 players? Can you play that at 2?
Yeah, it goes up to 6 players, I think. 2 to 6 players.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess I'll pick Meg.
So I also kind of cheated. We talked about cheating. I picked a franchise. because it really doesn't matter, and I have a whole stack here.
Doesn't count.
I picked Flux.
Exit
Oh, yeah.
Does anyone?
Never mind,
So
that counts.
we've had many play Flux.
Wait, but I need to know which one is your favorite because there's so many. I'm
Yeah.
never going to get them all. I need to know which one you
Okay,
would recommend.
so truly, which one is my favorite? It also depends. It's like asking what color I play as when Roberto tried to ask me, because Jumanji Flux we play a lot in the summer is very fun. Like just to play outside, why not? Because you have the Jumanji feels. There's also Holiday Flux. You get bonuses during certain holidays, and it's super cute.
That's awesome.
One of my
In the jungle, you
absolute
must
favorites
wait,
is
then.
Cthulhu Flux because
Best
I
one.
mean that's just very
Why
me.
not?
Right. Yeah.
But also
Okay.
there's Cartoon Network Flux, and you can draw one and play an extra card if you talk in a cartoon voice.
Oh, wow.
Oh boy.
Oh,
This is
DD,
where I'm like,
get out to my laboratory.
Me on the spot.
This sounds like my worst nightmare.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Right away, I'm gonna be like, well, we're gonna have to take the cartoons out because
Yep.
can't do that.
I think
It's
there's
gonna be
some
the
that make
best
you
one.
sing as well. So Flux, for those who don't know, is a game that it is the lightest game I have. It's the lightest I have. Okay, so I do have a lighter game that if we do honorable mentions, I'll talk about it because it's one of my. I probably love it more.
Just mention it. I need to know right now.
Yeah, just say it now.
Yeah.
Can't wait for honorable.
It's we didn't play test this either. So there's a whole series where we didn't play test this at all. We didn't play test this either. They didn't. They just put a game out and there's not really rules. And some of them are like, everyone vote a number. Okay, everyone who voted odd, you just lost. Goodbye. You're out of the game. Goodbye. And you never even got a turn. Or there's like puppy ambushes. That's a very, very fun game. Flux was play tested.
Yeah.
So Flux is just draw one, play one. That's the rules. That's the only rules. Draw one, play one. You start with 3 cards. And I think that's what makes it the best light game. It's a game that we bring to bars, we'll bring to restaurants when we're waiting to eat, we'll bring it to the beach, we'll bring it on vacations because they're very small, we'll theme them.
Cabin game. No, sorry.
Yeah, cabin game.
I gotta do the cabin game. Minnesota.
our next
Exactly.
episode
When you
should
said
be
that, that's what
cabin
I thought of.
Yeah.
Right?
And we'll play it at the end of the night. If we're not tired yet and we just finished a heavy game, we don't want to set something up, we'll play Flux. So it builds as you go where the rules will change. And you end up playing a goal, and the goal you play items, those items get you to the goal. It's so easy. It's a game that, like I said, you can play at restaurants and we'll pick it up and just say like, okay, we don't care who wins, who cares.
Yeah.
But also when you're about to win, like you can still get that excitement and that like exhilaration that you're like, okay, if they don't do anything, they can't stop me next turn and I'm gonna win. You get very, very excited, but you don't mind. And I think it's a game that I can talk people into that aren't gamers. I can teach them and be like, hey, it's draw one, play one. You can't mess this up. They've played things like Cards Against Humanity and they're like, sure, okay. And then I'm teaching them hand management and table limits and goals and then multi goals. And then all of a sudden they learn games and then they want to play board games. So
A great stepping
And
stone.
Meg's like,
Yeah.
Gloomhaven.
I'm like,
So
well,
we're gonna go from Flux to
Yeah.
Gloomhaven real
Glue
fast.
Flux.
Back to my place and yeah.
Well, and another thing that's beautiful about it is there's so many different themes of it that you can find something that they're gonna like, right? I know that our family, our favorite one is the Monty Python one because you get to like talk in the accents and make reference to the movies, and
That's
it's just-
awesome.
it's a hoot. It's a hoot.
yeah, definitely my favorite light game that I love it also that we don't care. It's one of those games that you care when you win and you're happy, but if you are the one losing or you have to scoop and pick up, you don't mind. It makes me happy.
Aw.
That's a
Even
really
if it's more than
good.
20 minutes. It's like, yeah, it's a
But-
draw.
Yeah.
Don't care.
No, that's a really good reference though. Like I feel like a good light game is if you lose, it's still a fun game.
Yeah, you had a good
Yeah.
time.
You had a good
Yeah.
time. Either way, whether it's like the chit chat, the table, the game, that whatever, like that makes a good light game. Yeah.
I love that idea of like, okay, next round, like when it comes back to me, I'm gonna win. This
Right.
is it.
Yes.
I did it this time. I'm finally gonna do
Practice
it.
round. Do this.
Yeah, exactly. Been practicing. Here we
Or
go.
those
Yeah.
small
Let's get started.
times when someone plays something that helps you, where you have keepers and they play a goal and you're like, I just won.
Oh,
You're
Yeah.
like, what? It's the best.
You don't know it, but you just won this for me.
Mhm.
I actually have a question about what we're talking about right now for everyone. When you do go to teach any of these games, do you teach them and then you kind of tell them how you would do it? Like, do you kind of coach them? Or is it, let me show you these rules, play the game, I'll help you if you need. And then let's say they love it and you play the next round. Do you go full force and you're like, I took it easy on you, now it's time to show you how to play this game?
I never take this.
We all knew that. So
Always go full force.
Yeah.
Always full force. Wow, okay.
My dad
You
taught
gotta
me
learn.
chess, and he beat me every time, and I loved the game and kept going. So
There you go.
But
I'm not gonna
if
pull
they
punches.
do ask an honest question about strategy, I will answer it honestly. So like in your situation, this is what I would do. Whether that's right or not, that's up to you to decide. But so I do advise honestly, but I don't pull punches when my first time playing a game with someone.
But that's what's so great about Between Two Cities is because if you tell them what to do, it helps you too. So
That's true.
Right. But I think, but you're right. Like that was the whole point of these light games, is that the rules are simple enough that you don't feel like you have to pull punches.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
if you explain it in 5 minutes, they get it. They know how to play. And so now I can just go full force. If we're gonna play Terra Mystica, so you're just gonna crush somebody. It's not gonna be fun for anybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
the other thing is the playtime is usually so short with these that, I mean, you wallop somebody and then you move on to the next one, right? It's not like
that's
you
how they
invested
learn,
3 hours and you're
essentially.
just
Yeah.
getting creamed the
Exactly.
whole time, and it's just right.
Oh, so
I always
last
lose.
night, so I've never beat my 6-year-old at King Domino. We've played probably like 8 to 10 times, and I've
You've
never beat him
never
at King
beat?
Domino.
Okay. No, that
Never.
is true. I feel like she's 6 also. We'll be like, ooh, willy-nilly doing crazy stuff. And I'm like, well, that's a little weird. Always wins.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. I don't know what it is, but I tied him last night, and I was like, yes, I tied him to my 6-year-old.
That's very true, though. Elsa always wins.
man, King Domino. I'm just waiting
That's a good
for
one,
Roberto
too.
to say we can say honorable mentions so
That-
that I
that
can
was
just
one
press
thing.
My
it.
honorable
But-
mention, and I actually probably have to go soon. So if I just bow out, I have people ready to play a game upstairs.
I
So
understand.
nice.
Wow.
All right. Bye, McKay.
King Domino is one of those that I thought about picking, but I was like, nah, someone's already picked that, so I'm just gonna
Right.
move on to my
That
next
is,
one.
I didn't even think of that one. That one is such
Yeah,
a
no
good
one. The games everyone picked tonight, I've played maybe one of them, 2 of them. Everything
Yeah.
else is like I don't even know what they are.
Well,
Can-
and
well,
the
okay.
thing is like I think we picked the ones we like to play the most.
Yeah.
But
I
if
guess I don't know what everyone
if
else
you
likes
said
to
what are
play.
the light games we have that we actually bring out with people, I'd be like, King Domino, Chronicles of Crime,
Ticket to Ride.
Ticket to Ride. Oh man, what else?
I love Ticket to Ride.
We do a lot
Ticket
I
of
to Ride is
love
great.
Ticket to Ride.
I mean, Ticket to Ride it's super good, super easy, super good. You can have strategy, you can play light, whatever.
Dead
I
Man's
actually
Draw,
really dislike it.
That's
That man's draw is fun.
code names and monikers. Those are the
I love monikers just because I enjoy getting drunk and be
doing charades.
I'm
Does
gonna
it?
be serious. That's
We
what we
should-
played for my birthday. I mean,
We just
But
played
these are-
trekking. We just played Trekking the World this morning, and that was actually a really fun, very light game. It's kind of the predecessor, or it's the sequel to Trekking the National Parks by Charlie Bing. But I was like, kind of like, we went into it kind of, okay, like this is, we're playing it with some family, whatever. Like, but I like came out of that, like, I really enjoyed this game. Like, I would kind of want to play this game again because it can actually get very cutthroat. Depending on where you place your meeple and stuff. So it's kind of fun. But that was one that I just thought of, 8 hours ago. So
wait, can I be a total meanie and say, Jamie, if you had to pick your favorite light game, can we hear what it is?
Well, it's hard to pick my number
I mean,
one.
like
favorite.
on the spot. So I
Wait,
didn't
no.
wanna be
Change
like,
it. Change your question. Jamie? What do you pull out
Yeah, what do you,
as a
That's
board
true.
game
That's a better-
designer? What do you pull out to play with? Hey, I design board games. Do you guys? But this person is some non-board game person. What's your game?
Well, yeah, and this actually came to mind while you guys were talking. I was going to ask you. I'll turn it around, but I'll get my answer and turn it around. I don't think I've heard any cooperative games mentioned, and the one that comes to mind for me is Just One. Have you played Just One? Just One's a
Fantastic
game.
game.
Where,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
it's fully cooperative. It's kind of like a cooperative party game, essentially, where one person is trying to guess a specific word and everyone else is giving a one-word clue. And if you give the same clue as somebody else, then the guesser doesn't get to see those words. And it's just, it's so easy to teach. And because it's cooperative, it's even easier to teach because everyone is helping everyone. And it's the type of game that you can play for a few minutes or you can play as long as you want. And I think a few of you mentioned this too. It doesn't really matter if you win or not. Like I hardly ever keep score when I play just one. We just play until we're done playing just one.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Did any of you mention
good one?
Yeah.
I didn't mention that one, but Chronicles of Crime and like Unlock.
That's true. That is cooperative.
We'll get out a lot with family because even if they have no idea what's going on, you can be like, just follow me here, just follow me and like kind of like watch what I'm doing for a second.
Yeah, those
are really fun to be like, just kind of go along with us. And after 10 minutes, then all of a sudden they go, you know what? I think the paperboy did something. And all of a sudden they're like adding ideas in. And so that one's really fun.
Yeah, we always have a stack of unlocks lined up for when my parents come. And it's like, hey, you're going to have to play these. I'm sorry.
Because I mean, let's be serious that your mom like feels super clever if she ever finds anything. And she's so excited when she's like, I found the 12. Like,
the other nice thing about Just One is it's a cooperative game, but you can't have somebody quarterbacking, right? You know, because everyone has to independently come up with a word. You're all working towards the same goal, but you don't know what people are doing and you can't really give them clues or anything. So it hits that spot really well.
It falls perfectly into what I was saying. It's another game where you get to try to feel clever.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to write this word down.
Clever.
Nobody's going to write this.
That is
and
true.
then everybody wrote it. You know?
Everyone writes Christmas at the same time.
Come on.
Along those lines, we play Wavelength fully cooperative.
That's a good one too.
That's one that like you can play teams, but for whatever reason, we just really enjoy the fully cooperative version and trying to get that high score. And we play the rule that every single person has to move the dial a little bit so that you can't just kind of like sit out of the game. So even if it's like one little click, but I think I like Just One more. That's one that I got more recently than Wavelength, but Wavelength is also one that's super easy to teach, really easy to get out. Takes 25 seconds to set up and you're going, so which is nice.
I will say
I have to get a group of people together to play the crew because my
that's a good one.
People, my family doesn't like to play card games, but when we played it, I was like, this reminds me of Pitch. It's Pitch 2.0. It's so cool to play. It's so cool to play with the communication not disruption, but you can only the limitations, restrictions, and it was so fun to play. And I think it's one of those games. It's just easy to be able to kind of communicate to people like this is how we're going to play, and this is our objective. Let's do this.
And the way the difficulty ramps or is customizable is really great too. Yeah.
I'm getting excited here. We're talking about games I really like. I know. Well, like I never know what to do with the crew is when you get a new group, like especially if you made it pretty far, you're always kind of like, well, where do we start? Do we start all the way back at the beginning?
No, but for the crew, I feel like a really good scenario is Ben's dad never plays board games ever.
Never.
Every time, like Ben's mom will be like, come on, you should join us. And he goes, I think I'm good. And he grabs the snack and he walks away and he like never plays. And the one time we got him play the crew, he was like, oh, I am done after this one. And he started to walk away and he goes, you know what? One more. And he like came back and he never, ever plays. Wow. But we're like, okay, this is a really good game. Cause he was like, you know what? Let's try that one more time. Kept doing it. So, I mean, I feel like that proved right away, like you do not have to like board games or, you know, any kind of games.
Right.
I loved it.
Right. And that's why I wanted to ask about this specific topic, because again, the games that we play normally, we can't just throw, I don't know, like Ryan said, viticulture. I'm sure we could throw viticulture down someone's face and we'll be able to explain to them, but it'll take such a long time to teach viticulture or
and you
watch what you're saying right now because
I know I'm like
no, but you would crush them. Is the thing. That's the difference.
Or Gloomhaven.
Yeah. Right, like I like viticulture a ton. We've played it many times, but like I can't pull it out with people because we've played it 25 times.
Yeah, it would
like,
be really
we would
obvious,
just destroy them.
Yeah.
And with heavy games, the best option is that's when I pull out the co-op is for heavier games because until people do know game mechanics, that's when they will get upset that you're just doing what you you have to do, especially worker placement or something like that. You have to place your workers, so you're going to be doing something. So I feel like co-op is the best way to show them how big the board game world is and how big, your brain can work with it, before going into PvP with heavy games.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Jamey, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap for the evening?
I mean, there are so many games that we could talk about. I guess Mysterium Park came to mind a little bit when we were talking about cooperative games with limited communication. I love the original Mysterium, but Mysterium Park is much more accessible in terms of setup. And it's another fantastic cooperative game. I wouldn't make it, I don't know if it's light or heavy really, because it feels like every decision you make is really crucial in that game. But it is really easy to get into and to teach. Yeah.
I much prefer that now actually than the regular Mysterium. It's just like, Mysterium light. Exactly. And everything is just laid out for you. It's easy, you can travel with it. It's fun. It's super fun to play too.
I have the hardest time with the locations because they all are similar.
Yeah.
So it gets really hard to give clues.
Right.
This is kind of cheating because Jamey's here, but I do have to admit, if we want to play a game where we're really want to play it, I'll try to get people to play Wingspan because that's way more gamery. And as long as
it's gamery, but it's light enough because you're like, it's about birds.
It's birds,
like,
right?
Yeah.
You have to. You do the rules.
Yes, just the birds.
If you're gonna play, if you're gonna play a bird card, you have to read the bird fact, and all of a sudden, it's like a fun, activity, and not so much like I'm gonna crush you in this.
I like to show
engine
off my
builder.
bird facts whenever I can.
Or maybe do a bird noise while they're playing a bird card.
So.
Super educational. Speaking of that game, Jamey, we talked about last week about the Wingspan big box, and super excited to have that come to our shelf because I have a whole shelf designated to Wingspan, so I'm excited to put that in a big box there.
It's a little earlier than I originally planned on doing it because we're planning on doing one expansion per continent for Wingspan. So I was going to wait until after they're all done, but I think it'll take like 5 years for us to get through all of them. And by then people will just have piles and piles of bird cards and mats and components.
Question.
Yeah, I need like a shuffler. I don't...
Is there going to be a dinosaur expansion?
Do we get a prehistoric bird?
A prehistoric bird?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I would prefer a cryptid, honestly.
He's like, I can't speak. I can't talk about this.
I gotta go.
Yes. He's like, on that note.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can I be a total nerd and be like, is that flippin' Walter behind you? Like he's a famous.
That is Biddy. Walter's even fluffier than
oh
Biddy.
my gosh! Yeah. It's like I'm seeing a famous Instagram I enjoy cats, okay, guys? So
there's a kitty right there.
I was gonna say we got the cats.
I think it looked like all the cats. I saw Dave's cat a little bit. I saw your guys' cat in the background.
I can go grab my cat if you want to see her.
I kind of do. So I mean,
I would not complain.
Yeah.
I think we ended last time with me going, what are their names? And I just got around asking that.
That's when we turn the recording off and we just all get our cats.
It's just me asking.
Oh, this is Sophie.
Oh, look at that kitty.
Yeah, this is just when I just ask for everyone to show their pets. I'm sorry. You don't have to ruin this. We can end it first before I ask.
I don't think I have any of mine, and I have 3.
Yeah, come on. Okay.
Douglas is just hanging out in the background there. But before we get into our pets, I do. It's all good.
I'm sorry.
I want to thank everyone on this call for spending the evening with the Boardvengers, right? We assembling, talking about light games. Thank you for being on this evening. But until we do this again, because we will be doing this again, happy gaming.
Happy gaming.
Yeah.
Happy game.
Bye.